There's a certain Gen X thing that is hard to explain until you've watched it up close. Something breaks, and you get quiet. Not heroic quiet, not movie quiet. Just that look people get when they've already stopped complaining and started measuring the problem. The toaster is dead. The chair leg is loose. The car won't start. Something at work crashes 5 minutes before a deadline. Someone says, maybe call someone. You hear them. You just don't move that direction. You look for the screwdriver. You check the cable. You tip the bike over. You say, let me see. If you were born between 1965 and 1980, that sentence probably started earlier than you think. This is not just about being handy. Handy is too small a word. This is about a generation that learned, very young, that waiting around usually did not improve the situation. Maybe your version was the empty house after school. Maybe it wasn't exactly that. Maybe your parents were there but busy, tired, divorced, working 2 shifts, or just not the kind of people who explained much. Either way, you learned the same basic rule. Don't make a production out of it. See what can be done. There's the key around the neck story, yes. The cereal. The TV on too loud. The long afternoon with no adult in the room. But the important part is not the nostalgia. It is the training. You had time, a little fear, and no customer support. So you became customer support. The TV went fuzzy, so you hit the side. The bike chain slipped, so you got your hands black and put it back. A drawer broke, so you took it out and stared at the runners like they were trying to hide something from you. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. You probably made a few things worse before you made anything better. That part matters, because the first real lesson was not, I am talented. It was, I can stay with this longer than I want to. Albert Bandura had a cleaner name for that. Self-Efficacy. The belief that what is in front of you is handleable because you have handled things before. But that sounds too polished for how Gen X learned it. You learned it with a scraped knuckle, a cheap screwdriver, and someone in the next room yelling that dinner was ready. And then it followed you. At work, you didn't wait for a perfect job description. You found the broken part of the system and learned it. The printer, the spreadsheet, the weird old process only one person understood. Then that person left, and somehow it became yours. You didn't trust companies to protect you because you had watched too many adults give everything to a place that still cut them loose. So you built the one kind of safety you could control, being useful. That is why Gen X still wins, in rooms where louder people get more attention. You do not need to be the most impressive person there. You just need to be the one who knows what to do when the impressive people run out of sentences. That is a real advantage. Not romantic, practical. When something fails, you don't spend the first 10 minutes arguing with reality. You move, you test, you try the thing that probably won't work, but at least tells you what the next thing is, and it never stayed at repair. You build too. The chair in the garage, the shelves on the wall, the shortcut at work, the weekend project that was supposed to take 2 hours and now has its own pile in the corner. You probably have a coffee can full of screws from things you no longer own, because throwing them away feels almost irresponsible. You raised kids with words you never heard much yourself. You built a life from a set of instructions that was mostly missing pages. Fix, build, repeat. That sounds like a slogan until you realize how much of your life it explains. Because the thing on the bench is often the easiest part. A toaster has a problem. A chair has a weak joint. A bike has a chain. Annoying, yes, but honest. The rest of life is not always honest. A marriage can be quiet for reasons nobody names. A job can feel wrong without giving you one clear part to replace. Your own mind can feel off in a way that does not come with screws. So you find something that does. You fix the faucet. You adjust the hinge. You sand the chair leg one more time. Not because the chair is the deepest thing in the house, because it gives you a clean little answer when the rest of the week is all fog. That is the part people miss when they call you stubborn. Sometimes you are not refusing help. You are trying to get back to a version of yourself that knows what to do. And yes, sometimes it works. That is the inconvenient thing. It made you capable. It made you reliable. It made you the person people call when the room starts to tilt. But it also trained a reflex that does not shut off just because the situation changed. Let someone else handle it, and you feel your shoulders tighten. You watch. You correct. You say you are only making sure, but really, you are trying not to feel useless. A half-finished thing in the room bothers you more than it should. An unsolved problem pulls at your attention, like a phone ringing in another room. Rest is strange when your value has been tied to usefulness for that long. So you stay busy. You fix one thing, then another. You handle the errand, the form, the appointment, the noise in the engine, the cracked shelf, the family problem no one officially assigned to you. You say you like it this way, and part of you does. There is pride in it. There should be. But there is also a tiredness that hides well because it wears work clothes. Nobody notices the man who is always carrying something until he finally puts it down. And by then, everybody acts surprised by the sound it makes. This is the strange inheritance of a lot of people born between 1965 and 1980. You were not exactly abandoned, not always. Life is messier than that. But you were left alone with enough problems early enough that competence stopped feeling like a skill and started feeling like a requirement. And once it becomes a requirement, help starts to feel suspicious. Someone offers, and you wave them off before you even think. Not because they are useless, because some part of you still believes the safest number of people to rely on is one. That part earned its place. It got you through things. It kept the lights on, sometimes literally. So no, this is not a speech about becoming soft or talking about feelings for 3 hours. You would hate that anyway. It is smaller than that. One thing. Let one person do one thing slightly differently than you would. Let the shelf be a little crooked for a day. Let the call go to somebody else. Nothing dramatic has to happen. You can still be the person who fixes things. You can still build the chair, save the old screws, hear the engine before anyone else hears it. That part of you is not fake. The wins are real. But you do not have to prove your worth every time something wobbles. And for once, nothing has to be broken for you to matter.